Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today. Hi, Rick.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome.
Today we have author D Moreno. He is a sci-fi fantasy author in the adult realm. The name of his first book is Zada. Is it pronounced Zada or Zada?
Zeta 5.
Zada.
Yeah.
Zeta 5, Path of the One. So I'm super excited to learn all about this book and the characters.
Awesome. Thank you. So a little bit about, so Zeta 5 is actually, maybe step back just a minute. So the way I present my book is Dune meets Game of Thrones meets Stargate. I read Dune when I was a young teen, and that kind of set me on my journey for wanting to write. But unfortunately, work and family and all of that, it just never presented itself to do that. And when I finally retired and finished remodeling our, our retirement home, I decided, okay, now what's next for me? So then at that point, it's okay. Dune had just been re-released, the movie that's out now. Number 2 has been out just a little while. But so after I saw that a couple of times, it said, okay, I'm good. I'm ready to start putting something together. So I built a list of characters and developed a kind of a straw man plot line. And 6 months later, I had a book.
Wow, that's not long to write your whole book.
No, it's not. And that's the other thing too, is I was very secretive about it, because you hear all these writers talk about how it takes years to do all of this, to write a book and to get through it. And so I didn't want anybody to know, because it's like, okay, I'm going to start to do this. It could be years from now before I finish it. The last thing you want to do is have people, how's the book coming? How are you doing with the book? How's this going? And it's years later and you're still not there. So I was very secretive about it. And I didn't even tell my wife. And my so funny story. My desk is out in the garage. I built a desk off of my workbench. And so the entrance to the garage is on the other side. And if you come in from that side, I don't hear you enter. And so you have to walk around behind me. And if I don't know you're there and I'm in the middle of typing or whatever, I don't realize you're there until you say something. And I was actually writing out my book on the big screen. And my wife comes in, and two of the main characters in the book are Emily and Christina. So my wife sees me writing and sees their names up there, and she thinks I'm writing to somebody. And it's like, who's Emily? Who's Christina? Who are you writing to? And it's like, okay, cat's out of the bag.
I was
So
going to
I,
say, what did she think you were out there doing? I mean, did you produce some woodworking items at the same time? Did you like restore a car or something to cover up what you were
yeah,
doing
so
here?
I have a lot of projects. I'm very handy with my hands. So I do a lot of stuff out here in the garage in the meantime. And so she kind of leaves me to do my stuff during the day. And that's kind of, so she came out to see what I was doing one day, and that's why. So that's, but yeah, it was when I was finished with the book, it was 165,000 characters.
Oh, wow. 165 characters or words?
165,000 words. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, that's very different. That's a really long book. So it was that many in the edited version, or did that get cut
Uh,
down a little bit?
Edited version, it's down to about 148.
That's still a
It,
long book, longer than any books I've written.
so,
So
yeah,
kudos to you.
paperback is a little over, it's about 630 pages, and the hardback is what, around 540.
Okay. Did you ever think about splitting them up? Oh,
Yeah.
nice. And show us
Yeah.
the cover close up there.
Sorry, somebody's trying to call me. So that's
Nice. Oh, it looks
Oh,
like you have 2 awards for your book too.
I do. Thank you. So, and
What are
I
the,
received those in December.
okay, what are the awards?
So the first one is International Impact Book Awards. So I received a gold medal for that. And that one was for science fiction, fantasy, space adventure. And then the second one is Global Book Awards. And for that one, it was fantasy adventure, space adventure.
Fun. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you were going back and you were telling us about how Zada was created.
Yeah, so Zeta 5 is actually, like I said, I was inspired by Dune, so I wanted to do something similar. So Zeta 5 is a large mining planet. And the problem with Zeta 5 is it's surrounded by asteroids. So there's no real way in to actually get to the planet. Um, but every 3 months, the three moons align. And from that pole, it creates an opening within the asteroids that you can fly into. And that entrance stays open for a day and a half. So if you want to do anything on Zeta 5, you have to fly in there, do it real quick, and then get out, or you're going to be there for 3 months. So that's kind of the premise for the book.
And what are the characters? What are they up against?
Yeah, so the warrior figures, I use swords. I don't use lasers, ray guns. I don't use any of that stuff. Like I said, I'm from the Dune, and that's kind of the same way that they do it. They have swords and stuff in there. So I wanted to do something similar. And that gives you a lot more opportunity for people to be up close fighting with each other and kind of explaining how that goes. So Connor is a young warrior. He's out there. He's just starting to get his feet wet, and actually, in the first chapter of the book, it kind of explains it. So, in this universe, the Empire is expanding by bringing on new planets as they develop and get to a point where they can be brought into the fold to um, sign up with the Empire and become a profitable enterprise within that, because most of it is set up around mining. And like I said, Zeta 5 is a large mining planet, and there they mine Xando crystals. And Xando crystals are refined, and that's what's used for interstellar flight.
Okay. And you said Connor is a young warrior. Is he in the
So
army?
Connor is a young warrior. He his father is a duke. They live on the planet Hamar 4. The main planet where the Emperor lives is Marcus 2. And so they support the Emperor in his efforts to expand the universe. And like I said, in the first chapter, they discuss where they're trying to bring on a new planet, and the planet's in the middle of war, and they're trying to settle that war and bring them on at the same time. And his older brother Adam, who's been doing this for a long time, has vetted himself as a warrior with a fierce reputation. And Connor has to go in and save him because he crash lands and he gets captured. So Connor goes in to save his brother while they're trying to bring on this planet in the meantime.
Okay. And so what happens on Zeta 5 in this book?
Okay, so in chapter 2, the Emperor has a younger brother, Lorenzo, and Lorenzo is a very intelligent man. He supports all the science and all of that industry. And in the background, he's been secretly developing weapons because he has his own ideas about taking over the throne and throwing out his brother. And so in chapter 2, there's a lab explosion. The Emperor finds out about this explosion. It kind of opens up the book for what's going on with Lorenzo, and he's not really telling his brother anything. So the Emperor Esteban has to figure out what's going on his own. So he uses Adam and Connor to try and be his spies to try and help him figure out what's going on. And
And
like I said in there, when the lab explosion, they see a phasing and they look through that and they could actually see another planet as they look through. And the determination is that planet is Zeta 5. So that's what leads them to have to go to Zeta 5 to figure out what's going on.
okay. So do you have a sense of, as a reader, do you have a sense of like who's the bad guy and who's the good guy?
You do. You have a sense of that probably early on within the first three chapters. You get a real feel of who the bad guys are in this.
And so, do we like our young protagonists, or are they sort of on the bad side?
No, you actually like them because within this book, because Connor's young, he still has to develop. There's some things that happen in chapter one that lead you to believe that he's not quite ready to be there yet. So you have to see his development as he goes through the book.
Interesting. And what a time frame does this whole book take place in?
So this book takes place probably within a 6-month time frame.
Okay. And do they have like years like we do, or are they stretched years, or are these superhumans, or are they kind of normal human lifespan?
No. Yeah, I don't really approach that much, but when I talk about time frame, I use normal Earth years for and hours and minutes for that type of stuff. I try not to confuse people by changing the name of hours and minutes and all of that. I try not to do that.
Right, yeah. It's hard for our brains to kind of stretch too many ways at one time.
Exactly.
I know I wrote a sci-fi book, and my characters needed to not be known who they were, so they changed their name. And my husband was like, after you changed their name, I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. And I was like, really? Just names. That's all. He's like, no, I'm done. I was like, okay. So do you consider this like a hard sci-fi book, or is it kind of light on the text part?
It's probably hard sci-fi, but there's some fantasy in there because, like I said, there is some phase shifting. So you're actually going between planets, and there's a prophecy in the book. Connor has an ability to see things into the future. Like I said, he's still trying to develop and understand these. So some of these things don't make sense to him, but he knows that it's stuff that he's going to need. And a bit of a spoiler, shortly after Connor gets to Zeta 5, they realize that they're going to be there for 3 months and start trying to figure out what they're going to do. And like I said, it's trying to be like Dune. Dune has sandworms. I couldn't use sandworms. I couldn't do anything like that. But I came up with a kind of a neat trick to use a dragon in there.
Okay, so this is where it comes into the Game of Thrones like.
Exactly.
And do you have a lot of the political intrigue and drama
Yeah,
that?
yeah, you do. Between Lorenzo and his brother Esteban, you have a lot of in there. It's what's going on there and who's trying to get over on the other and trying to make sure that they don't get killed in the process.
Right, and the subtitle of this is Path of the One. So are we assuming that Connor is the one?
Yeah, so in there, like I said early on, a prophecy it exposes itself where is developed as he progresses within this and is sought to be the the one that's going to be that uncovers and becomes part of this prophecy as he's there on Zeta 5.
Okay, and does it give too much away to say what the prophecy is? My interest is piqued now.
Um, so let's see. So Connor is on Zeta 5, probably around chapter 5, I think. So maybe a little bit is so Connor finds a dragon. Part of it is he finds the dragon and is able to communicate with the dragon. And that's kind of what opens up the prophecy and where it goes from there.
Interesting. So connected to the dragons, but they were
Right.
supposed to be the creatures that weren't like great towards the humans, right?
Exactly.
Interesting. So lots of intrigue there. Is this going to be a series? Are you going to follow this up, or is it a complete standalone, you don't need to read anything else book?
So you can read this book as a standalone, but and actually when I started writing, the plan was, okay, I could write a book. I got it out of my system and I'm done. Probably, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 months after I finished it, I came up with the plot. And so I actually started writing this book in August of 2020. and I'm right now on chapter 8 of book 5.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. So like once I started writing, it's just I enjoyed it a lot, and I just couldn't stop.
Well, fun. Yeah, so Zeta 5 is only the first book, right?
Right,
And you're going to have at least 4 more coming out then.
right, correct.
Wow, that's amazing. And are they all just as long as the first book?
Um, well, the next two are not as long. The next two are probably around 300 pages, probably when I'll be done. The fourth one is a little over 400 pages. But I think book 5 is going to be almost as big as book 1 when I'm done, because there's a lot to it, and I'm trying to still map out who's doing what in that book.
Interesting. So are we going to follow these characters through every book, or is this like moving through generations of time?
So I can't really open up too much, other than some of the main characters in there will continue on through the other books.
Okay. And when are you going to release them? Are you waiting to finish the whole thing before you release any of the second and third?
Oh, yeah. So as an independent author, it's not exactly a cheap endeavor to publish a book. So I'm trying to get more of a following with the first book. Once I can get more of a following with the first book, then I'm ready to start releasing the others.
Oh, fun. Yeah, because if you're still writing, that could be a long wait for some people, right?
Well, and that's the other thing too, is in the back of the book, I did put a link in there to the first 5 pages of the next book.
Oh, okay,
That way
fun.
you can get that something is coming.
Right. So we have to wait, hurry up and wait, right?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. And you said you had a lot of inspiration from Dune and maybe space and Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
So,
Have
yeah.
you read George R. Martin's Game of Thrones?
No, I haven't. I
No.
haven't. Yeah, I just saw it on HBO, but I didn't have the opportunity to read it. And actually, if you want to step back, when I was a young kid, Forbidden Planet is what really sent me on the sci-fi adventure. That when I saw that, I was hooked. Then I had to gobble up anything that was sci-fi. And then when I saw Jason and the Argonauts, then I was into the fantasy realm. So I was trying to gobble up anything from that. So I would read a lot of the Greek mythology stuff, uh, a lot of Jules Verne, um, Edgar Allan Poe, um, some of that stuff, and I didn't read the whole series for Dune. I was only able to read the first book, but like I said, I was hooked once I read it.
Yeah, that's really fun. And it sounds like I'm guessing people know you're writing now, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That yeah, it's the one. Yeah, once the book was finished, then at that point it's like, yeah, no, I have no problem. So
Fun.
and I did have some beta readers that gave me some encouragement.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, getting some feedback on your plot and your characters. I love
Yeah.
your cover. I think, did you do your cover or did you have someone do your cover?
No, so that's the other thing too, is I tried to go the traditional route to get the book published. And after probably, I don't know, it was about 6 months, I've got like 4 very nice rejection letters. It's like, yes, no, this isn't something we do, or no, this book isn't ready for us. And then a lot of nothing. And it's like, I'm not going to sit around and wait. So I actually went through somebody that helps indie, indie authors produce their books. It's a group called Paper Raven Books. And so what they did is they helped me with all the editing. They helped me get a cover through 99 Designs, and then they helped me with all the formatting so that I could get it on Amazon.
Oh, fun. Yeah. It looks like a
Um,
really high quality cover, so I really like the graphics on that.
oh yeah, we did like a we got a bunch of them to produce book covers. And when this one came out, and this one was actually one of the last ones that came in, it was okay. I had to have some tweaks made to it, but I knew that was the cover that I wanted.
Yeah, I feel like as an author, like you see it and you're like, yep, that's the one. You know
Yeah.
right away if that's the one that fits your book. Well, fun. And so, did you have any writing experience prior to like jumping in and doing this?
No, and for me, grammar was never my thing through school. I was horrible at grammar. I would write short stories and the rest of it, but they were terrible because grammar was not my thing. And I knew when I wrote this book that I was going to have some real good editing done to it to help me get through it. And I actually had a couple of different groups that wanted to publish my book, but they were talking about doing a minimal amount of editing, and it's like, no, I'm not putting my book out there like that. It'll be garbage. Nobody will read it. They'll read the first few lines, and it's like, I'm not doing that. So I actually went through 3 rounds of editing to get it to the point where it's at now. But yeah, I
That's
was
great.
I was on to write, but I was horrible at grammar and just knew I was going to need help.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, yeah, you one person can't do it all. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Right. And the other thing too is when I went through the 3 rounds of editing, I actually learned a ton. So I've been able to do a lot of the editing for the other books, so it won't be the struggle with those books as it was with the first one.
Yeah, I feel like I learned a lot too in those processes. Like I can actually spell restaurant now. I cannot spell restaurant to save my life. Like every time I spelled it, it was spelled a different way and it was still wrong. And now I'm like, oh, I can spell restaurant.
Well, and the different nuances between there and the different nuances between through and that type of stuff. And like I said, in school and the rest of it, I wouldn't have been able to tell you which one was which. So yeah, absolutely.
That's so much fun. And so your character, you said you have some political intrigue in there. Are there romance subplots too, or not really that much?
Well, yeah, so there is, so like I said, I alluded to the fact that Christina and Emily, those are the Emperor's daughters, and they get involved with both Connor and Adam. And so that's how that progresses through the book. Um, but there's some twists and turns as you go through to find out what goes on between the 4 of them. And I can't really say more without opening up the book to or opening up to a lot of spoilers. But there is a romantic element within the book. And the other books, it does get a little more deeper in there.
Fun. And is this written in third person, I'm guessing?
No, actually first person. So
Oh, first
so
person.
yeah,
Okay.
most of it is the characters do their own talking. I do and like I said, that was part of the editing effort where I had to learn the right ways to do that and the show versus speak part of it as well. So I had to learn all of that.
Right. When I first started writing, I wrote it more like a movie script. Like I had tons of dialogue, and my editor was like, okay, some dialogue is good, but we don't want everything dialogue.
Right, right. And that's a comment that I got from the beta readers is, yeah, this reads like a movie. So it's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, because sometimes, I mean, I don't know if I visualize what I'm writing in my head, and then
Yeah,
I'm writing what I'm seeing.
right.
So, yeah.
Well, that's like I said, the other thing too is I sat down and with the characters, developed who the characters were, kind of what I wanted them to do. And then a straw man for the plot. But then as I'm going through it, it's kind of like the characters have a mind of their own and they're going this way and that way. And I'm just kind of following them as we're going through this journey.
Right. Well, and with a long book, you can do a little bit more of that than, you can have some subplots here and subplots there. And I mean, it
Right.
needs to tie pretty much into the whole greater scheme of things, but you can do some fun things like that.
Exactly, exactly. And that's part of it too, because you've got Connor who's on Zeta 5, all the stuff that he's going through. And then you have Adam that's out there in the universe trying to do his part of it, trying to figure out those secrets as well. So I've got both of them going on, and some other things that are going on with with the Emperor's brother Lorenzo, what he's up to. So there's kind of all these different subplots in there that you're trying to develop and then merge them together into one large picture.
Right. Well, it sounds like you've created a fascinating world here. And you talked about kind of Doom-esque, Game of Thrones-esque, this space element. Who else would like this book?
I think anybody that's interested in some type of thriller, because it does take you on a journey. You're trying to figure out what's going on, why all of this is happening. The Emperor pulls a bunch of people together and discuss where he thinks his concerns are, where they think they're going to have a problem if his brother gets a hold of this. And so you kind of follow that journey and trying to understand what's going to happen here as you're going through this plot.
No, fun. Well, this is so exciting, and I'm sure that all your readers are waiting for that second book. Where can we find you and your book?
So you can find it on Amazon. It's actually on KU, so you can read it for free on KU. I just also put it in with Ingram Sparks, so you can get it from Barnes & Noble, Walmart. Actually, if you look Zeta 5 Path to the One on the web, it'll show up as Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, all of those list the book as well. So just about anywhere you can buy books, you can buy this one. It's not on Kobo. It's not on iTunes. It's not on iTunes because I couldn't keep it free on KU if I did that.
Right. Yeah. So, and I went to your website. It's beautiful, but for those of us that are listening, tell everyone what your website is so we can find you there.
So my website is rdmorenoauthor.com. And if you go to the website, there's also a link to the Amazon page. And at the top of the website there on the first page, you can sign up for my email.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Rick, R.D. Moreno, M-O-R-E-N-O. For people who are listening, we will have all the links on the description for the podcast, and hopefully you will come back when you release that second book.
Absolutely. I would love to. This was very enjoyable. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Rick. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Finding the Magic podcast. I'm your host, author and podcaster Tricia Copeland, and I love getting behind the scenes. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe and stop in each week to discover new authors and books. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep finding the magic.